There are many gaps in my Xbox 360 collection. For example, I have Gears of War 3, and that's it. I don't have the first two, or the ones that come after. I have Dead Space 2, but I don't have the first one, or the third one. I need to fill the gaps, but not only that, the most expensive game I currently have for the Xbox 360, at least I think it is Fist of the North Star, which is about 15 quid in CEX. I need a lot more games in my collection. I've had the itch recently to play them, but I don't own them. I could go and spend money on them, but where's the fun in that? I'm going to go back to what we used to do on this channel, and I'm going to get these games for free. This time I'm not going to steal them. I didn't steal them. So, very simply, this is Mission Xbox, or the free Xbox game collection, whatever YouTube prefers. In this series, I'm strictly going to be looking to pick up original Xbox games and Xbox 360 games. The Xbox 360 is probably my most favourite platform of all time, that and the Mega Drive, which we'll talk about at a later date. But as there are thousands of games for the Xbox 360 and a large number of them I don't own, this is going to be far easier for me to do than, say, Mission Mega Drive, because there aren't that many Mega Drive games knocking about the place these days. They're just a lot harder to come by. Xbox 360, on the other hand, they're everywhere, and I need a lot of them. So to keep it simple, what I've decided to do is just have two figures, 3 if we ever have credit. The first one is going to be how much I've spent in this series. So the rules are, I can go and spend whatever I want, whenever I want on Xbox 360 games. If I go out one Saturday afternoon and I stumble upon a retro video game store and there are 3, 4, 5, 10 games there that I want and I end up spending 50 quid, so be it. I don't need to have that in profit like I used to do in the other series. However, to make it free, of course, we then need to make that 50 quid back. How do I do that? Well, I go into charity shops, car boot sales, Facebook Marketplace, I buy things, I flip it on for a profit, and that's the money back. Or, of course, I can flip it on to get my money back, and then whatever's left over I can take into CEX and use that free credit to get 360 games. I'll explain it as and when I go, but generally the goal here is to fill out and flesh out the Xbox 360 collection without spending any money out of pocket. All the games you see in my Xbox 360 collection so far have been acquired through the free trading game collection, and that means they're all free. If you don't believe me, you can go check out the other 100 episodes there are in that series, and you will see me pick up every single one. For the remainder of this episode though, we're going to go through the hit list. I'm going to try and go through it as quickly as possible. I'll chuck some gameplay in here or there to keep it a little bit interesting, but these are the games I want and the games that I want to cross off the collection. I wouldn't say as fast as possible, but I'm going to run it till the end of December and we'll reassess and see where we are. So without any further ado, let's kick off that list with game number 1. Beautiful Katamari is one that absolutely has to be on the list. I've nearly bought it a few times. It's only £12 in CEX right now, and I'm fully aware that these games may or likely are cheaper on places like eBay, and if I can get them in bundles or even if I can find them in car boot sales. With the new Saw X film due to release in September, I would imagine that the original Saw games on the Xbox 360 will likely get a price increase. They won't last and it will eventually drop down, much like The Walking Dead has done. However, it's either now or wait until next year for me to get the second one. I already have the first one, which is by far the best. Saw 2 isn't a particularly great game in my opinion, but I do need to get it. It's currently £12. Next few on the list are just staples, I think, of any collection. Bully, again, still only £12, which is mad to me. I thought that would have gone up by far. And then, of course, Tony Hawk American Wasteland, a game that I absolutely love and for some reason I still don't own. That is now £15. That is creeping. Can't really see that slowing down either, as in my opinion anyway, it is the best Tony Hawk game since the originals. I've mentioned this next game a fair few times on the channel and the price has dropped. It's Alice Madness Returns. This is only £15. I really do need to put this into the collection at some point, and some point soon before it rebounds in price. The Simpsons Game is a game that has dropped by about £5 in recent weeks. It's now down to 15. It was originally 20. I can see it going back up over time as well. That and Hit and Run on the original Xbox are two that I'd like to add. Side note, from all of these games I'd like to put into the 360 collection, I don't own a single original Xbox game. Why? Well, more of a PS2 kind of guy, never had an original Xbox. However, I am a lover of convenience more than anything else, and the Xbox 360 is capable of playing a large number of original Xbox games. Hit and Run, I believe, is one of those. You just need an official hard drive in the Xbox 360, one of the latest updates, and you're good to go. So with that being said, I may start to look at some original Xbox games. I'll only pick up the ones that are backwards compatible, even if I have them on the PS2, just because my Xbox 360 is plugged in right here behind me, and it will be easy for me to swap the discs and play rather than spin around and have to play the PS2 on a completely different screen, and the convenience more than anything else is what I like. First of many SpiderMan games on this list, this is Friend or Foe. This is £18 currently. Again, I know I could probably get it cheaper on eBay. Some of these games, however, and I didn't make a note which ones, even though I'm telling you the price in CEX, all these prices are based on CEX, some of them are not in stock, so it is likely that they are far more expensive than I'm saying. So Friend or Foe, I'm not sure if it's one of them that may not be in stock. This may actually be a £30-40 game that you can't get in CEX. They haven't upped their price for whatever reason, but on eBay the cheapest copy is £30-40. It might be the case. It's probably not with this one in particular, but just know that that might be the case for some of these games that I'm mentioning. This is the cheaper of the Silent Hill games on the Xbox 360. This is Homecoming. It is only 18. I think there are another 2 Silent Hill games on this list that you can look forward to seeing, but this is the cheapest one. They're only going to creep up really again. I think there's a new, is it a film or a series? I'm pretty sure it's a film. Talked about this before, and when stuff like that happens, the hype builds. If it's good, prices do surge, and they do take a little while to come back down, and in some cases they don't really rebound that much, so I need to pick this up sooner rather than later. This next one is a triple pack, and I believe they are arcade games that you can't buy singular. They are Outland, From Dust, and Beyond Good and Evil. The price is around £20 right now. I've seen this far cheaper elsewhere over time. The price may have crept up to 20 and now it's just standard across the board, but I did once see this around 10 quid, maybe even less. And with the risk of Xbox Live going away at some point, like the arcade on the Xbox 360, they threatened it before, there were rumours about it, it didn't really come to fruition. But if they do close the market so that you can't buy anything new, these games are going to just shoot right up. So if you are planning on buying these, again, I would act sooner rather than later. Rumble Roses is another game I'd like to pick up. It's not a particularly great game, but it is one of those I'd like to have in the collection. Under Defeat HD is another one. I don't actually know anything about this game, but I do like the look of it. It's £20 right now, and I can definitely see this going up, even though I don't know anything about it. It is one of those niche type games you don't see that often that will likely have a high price just because you don't see it that often. I'm just going to call this one Bikini Samurai Squad because I don't know how to say the first one. I have played it. Again, I didn't think it was a particularly great game, but again, it's one of those I kind of want in the collection because I'm a perv. There are quite a lot of these type of games on the Xbox 360, you know, your Rumble Roses, your Bikini this, Bikini that, and I don't know why that's the case, but they're all expensive. And I say expensive. Anything on the Xbox 360 that is 20 quid or more, I would consider to be pricey because there aren't that many expensive games on the platform. Everything is relatively low. There are games on the Mega Drive that run into the hundreds, and it's the same with Super Nintendo, of course, even the thousands, I would imagine. Even the Switch, there are games that run into the hundreds and are in the high 80s, 90s, and it's quite common to see those games. But on the Xbox 360, unless it's a special edition or something of that nature, most games tend to be under 20 quid, and if they are above 20, they are a niche game. There aren't that many of them, the print run, etc. But to be honest, there aren't that many above 20. Everything left on this list is above 20, so that's going to sound like a little bit of a contradiction, but in the grand scheme of how many games there are on the 360, I'm not really going through that many. I would like to get the more expensive ones sooner rather than later, and that's why I've made a list so I can actively go after these games. Back to the Future is a £20 game on the Xbox 360. Whether I actually get it on the PS4, the Xbox One, or the Xbox 360, or even the PS3, I'm really not that bothered. I just want it in one capacity or another. So it's on the list, although I may never actually get it on the 360 if I get it on another platform first, because the experience is going to be generally the same. LMA Manager 2007, it's not a game I actually really played too much. I did dabble a little bit in LMA, but I was more of a football manager kind of guy and Premier Manager. 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, another £20 game. This has gone up quite considerably over time. It's come back down now to about 20 quid, which is quite nice. I think it was almost double that at once upon a time, which is just crazy. Now, I actually have this next game, but I have the standard edition. It is Fallout New Vegas, one of, if not the best Fallout game ever made, in my opinion. Absolutely love it. But this is the Game of the Year edition. Now, this is £20. It has come down to 18. It's gone back up, so I don't really see it moving that much. It's going to maybe fluctuate a couple of quid either side, but I do need to pick it up, and then I can just move my copy along. Just the standard edition. Am I really that bothered about all the extra bits? Not really, but at the same time, if there is a better version of said game, I want the best one. This next one I've written down as being a £22 game in CEX, but I'm really not sure because I think there is another version of this. This is Mortal Kombat, the 2011 version. Now, there are different variants of this, and I'm not sure what version has which and what's going on with it, but I do want this game in one way or another. I don't know which version I want. The one that I have written down is the £22 one. I've probably put it on screen for you so you can see which version it is. If you know anything more about this, can you let me know? Because I don't really know what version has what and what's going on with this game, but I do want it at some point in some way or another. GTA San Andreas, I have this on the PS2 of course, but if you can get a better sort of, not remastered, but a version that runs better, if you will, on again a more convenient platform for myself, the Xbox 360, so be it. £22, absolutely not paying that. I've seen it on Vinted a few times for around 10 quid. Eventually I'll pick it up probably for that price. Monster Jam, this is just monster trucks, 25 quid. I mean, it's just one of those, everybody has to have it if you're collecting Xbox 360 games, I think. Blitz The League 2, I mean, hours of fun with this. Honestly, such a good game. The original Blitz The League game is a good game as well, but Blitz The League 2 is just that much better again. This one is 25 quid. I think, is it more expensive on the PlayStation 3 or is this the most expensive one? I can't remember which one's which, but they do go up in price just because of the nature of these games, with good reason as well. They are a lot of fun. Another Silent Hill, this time the HD collection. I believe this is just the original Silent Hill games remastered into HD. I don't think it's like a remaster as in like they've done a massive overhaul of the whole thing. It's probably just upscaled to HD. But again, 25 quid right now is not a terrible price for these. It will go up in price over time, whether it'll rebound after the film or the series or whatever it is made, who knows. But again, if it is a film and it does go on to do well, not that the other Silent Hill films went on to do that well at all, even though in my opinion they are pretty decent, and they do decide to make more, the price will probably stay high. Kind of like The Last of Us hype, it'll die down a little bit, but then it will go back up again over time. So it's going to be now or forever hold your peace with these type of things, really. Transformers isn't something I'm a massive fan of. Like, I like the original cartoons and everything back in the day when I was a kid, but in terms of the newer films, I mean, they're okay. Maybe the first one, second one possibly, but I'm not really that bothered going forward. But I do still want the games. This one, War of Cybertron, is the first of two, I believe, on the list. This is 28 right now, I think 28. I tell a lie. It's 25 for the next few games, actually are 25, so I need to pick that up. Fall of Cybertron is the other one, and that is also 25. I do need to get those, but when you think about that, 25 quid each, that's 50 quid for two games that I'm not really that bothered by. I will get them, but it won't be from CEX. I will pick them up on eBay, Vinted, in a video game shop, far, far cheaper than CEX is selling them for, because they're not games that I'm overly excited to pick up, but I do want at some point. Lollipop Chainsaw, another one of those Bikini Samurai nonsense games. It's fun. Is it worth 25 quid? Don't know. Jury's out on that one. I don't think so, really. But I have played it. I do want it again, and I will get it cheaper. I'm not really looking to pay 25 quid for that one. SpiderMan Edge of Time, again another £25 game. These are games that you can definitely find cheaper elsewhere, and the entire list is obviously, like I said, based off CEX prices. You can absolutely find these games cheaper elsewhere. Some of them are going to be harder, like Lollipop Chainsaw. The majority of people who have that game will know its value. When it comes to a Spider-Man game, they will be parents selling them for like their kids' collections or their own collections that they don't really know of. It's a Spider-Man game. No one's going to think, if you're not in the industry, but if you're not sort of surrounded by it. You don't necessarily know the prices of these games. SpiderMan games generally have a lot of value across all platforms. Not everyone knows this. So I've seen SpiderMan games change hand for a couple of quid in boot sales, even on Vinted and Facebook Marketplace. So with these type of games, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get them for a fraction of the CEX price at some point. It's just a case of waiting to find it that cheap. Cars 3 Driven to Win is one of those games I'd like to pick up, but it is available on the Switch. Whether it will actually run better on the 360 or the Switch or on Xbox One upscaled, if you will, I don't know. But this one in particular, don't really fancy paying that price when I know it's considerably cheaper on the Switch. Splatterhouse at £28 is fairly reasonable, considering this is a lot more expensive actually on the PS3. I think this is closer to 40 quid on the PS3. So to get it for 28 on the Xbox 360 isn't that bad, and I probably would pay that price for it. There we go. You can put that on your bingo card. I've mentioned this a lot in the past, and I'm sure regulars will be sick and tired of hearing this story, but I used to be a gamerscore whore, so I've played a lot of games on the Xbox 360, some of which that, you know, no grown man should ever play. My Horse and Me 2, Hannah Montana, yeah, played all of those, and to be fair, didn't really hate them, if I'm honest. Says a lot about me. But this next one, Iron Sky Invasion, I've never actually heard of. 30 quid seems a little bit high, but again, I've never heard of it, so that's probably why it is 30 quid. Is it a good game? I've no idea, because as I'm talking, I know nothing about it. You're seeing some sort of gameplay, I would imagine, over the top of this, and you can make up your own mind if you've never heard of it. But if you have and you have played it, let me know. Is it worth 30 quid? Is it worth me putting into the collection, or is it a £2 game inflated because they didn't make that many? Another Spider-Man game. This is Shattered Dimensions. I mean, it is what it is at this point. It's a Spider-Man game, and that's why it's £32. Asterix Olympic Games. I really like Asterix and Obelix. Love the cartoons. Been to the theme park. Had XXL2 on the Switch. Didn't really like it that much. Ended up selling it, making a profit. But the Olympic Games on the 360 is a game that I absolutely want. The longer I leave this, the more expensive it's going to get. When I originally wanted to pick this up, when I first started my collection, it was around 22, 25 in CEX. It's now well over 30. Doesn't really show signs of slowing down. That was over a year ago, so it's not like it's, you know, shooting up at an exponential rate or anything, but the longer I leave it, the more expensive it's going to be. It will absolutely be a £40 game sooner rather than later, so I need to find this somewhere quick or get the credit for it. There aren't that many games left on the list now. I've already mentioned this at the very beginning of the video. This is actually my most expensive game in my collection so far, but this is the sequel. This is Fist of the North 2. This is £35 in CEX. I think it's going to be one of those that I either have to buy in CEX, or if I go to a retro video game store, maybe they'll have it for, you know, £3, £4, £5 cheaper. It's going to cost me 30 plus regardless of where I get it, because it's one of those that unless you are a huge fan of the series or an avid Xbox 360 collector, you're not going to have it in your collection. It's just one of those games, and if you do have it, you know the value of it, so I am going to have to pay up for this eventually. This is one that you may have and not realise that it's that expensive. Need for Speed Most Wanted, currently a £35 game, has been up to about 40. Can't really see it dropping too much below that. Incidentally, I would like to add Need for Speed Carbon onto this list as well. Carbon is one of, if not my most favourite Need for Speed game of all time. Maybe Underground 2 would trump it, but still, I need to get that game and I still haven't done it. I need to make a massive push on 360 going forward. That's kind of what this list is. It's to force me to go and pick up these games. I'm going to have this list on my phone and I'm going to be able to cross them off as and when I go. I didn't want to add cheapy games because they are games I'm going to pick up over time anyway, but Carbon should really go on the list as well as Most Wanted. Another racing game is Crash Time. Crash Time is actually one of the most expensive games on the platform. Crash Time 5 to be precise, because they have a lot of them, obviously 1 through 5. You can't get many of them. For example, Crash Time, the original, is out of stock in CEX right now, and they have it down as £40. Does it go for 40 or does it go for more on eBay? I really don't know. I haven't looked it up, but I will show you on screen, of course. This is a game and possibly a series that I will look to complete over time, but this one is going to be the series of games that cost me the most money on this platform. I don't really see another series of games costing me more. Every single one of them is £40 plus. It's going to get expensive. Are they even good games? I don't actually know, because I have played the original, but I can't remember it too much. So if you have played them or you own them, let me know. Are they worth picking up in the comments? The final SpiderMan game I have here is Web of Shadows. This is currently 50 quid in CEX. I'm really hoping I can find this one cheaper. I don't know why this one in particular is the most expensive one. Is it because it's the best one or the one that had the most limited print run? I don't know. If you know, let me know. Just 2 games left on the list that I know about anyway. There may be more. I just went off the CEX website. Maybe I'll find some more expensive games when I go to a retro video game shop, for example. But this is Silent Hill Downpour. This is 40 quid on the Xbox 360. And a game that, as I've mentioned with other Silent Hill games, will probably only go up over time. I really do need to pick this up. This next one, I'm almost certain isn't worth £52, but there we are. It's one of those, I don't see it that often, that's why it's expensive, I would imagine. This is Tornado Outbreak. I know absolutely nothing about this game, and for someone who claims to know a lot about the Xbox 360, I've said that a lot in this video, which goes to show I don't know that much, or at least know as much as I thought I knew. However, this game is £52. I do not want to spend that on this game without knowing a little bit more about it. So of course I've gone and looked at gameplay, and I'll look at some reviews, but you guys are the ones I listen to most, because you are regular people who collect video games and play them for enjoyment, right? So let me know in the comments about any single one of these games, of course, but in particular Tornado Outbreak. Is it any good? Have you played it? Or maybe you haven't played it but you've watched a lot of gameplay. What can you tell me from what you know about this one? Is it worth £52? If you think I've missed any games in this list, please feel free to let me know. I've literally just gone through the CEX website and had a little look at the most expensive games to see if those are the ones I actually want. There may be games that aren't on there, or games that are really cheap on there that are out of stock that are actually worth more on eBay, for example. So if you think I've missed anything, let me know in the comments. In the next episode, in a couple of days' time, like I said, I'll be going to CEX with some credit, and I may or may not cross my very first game off this list. But until then, you can check out another video from me where I picked up some 360 games, and until the next time, goodbye.